Wildcat Nation mourning the loss of one of their greatest. Former Wildcat Michael Wright was found dead.
Welcome to another episode of J Inclusive. Please share, like, comment, subscribe, and set your notifications on so you are alerted every time I upload. Born on January 7th, 1980, Michael Wright grew up on Chicago's West Side, raised by his mother, who was a nurse, in a neighborhood that bordered Chicago's medical district. His neighborhood was located in close vicinity to a community riddled with gang violence.
It's after midnight on Chicago's South Shore, and police are enforcing a curfew for minors.
Everybody's a juvenile. Take one step back toward me again.
It may be what keeps these kids alive or out of gangs. It also holds their parents accountable.
Ms. Lizzie Banks?
Yes.
They were applied for curfew earlier this month, so now we are here to write you a ticket. We have to go to court.
Curfew enforcement, which began last month, is just one new weapon being used in a violent Chicago gang war. The motive, drug turf. Authorities were able to intercept more than a ton of cocaine recently, but stopping gang gunfire has been harder. There have been more than 500 homicides so far in Chicago this year, far exceeding the number last year at this time. Many of the victims have been unsuspecting youngsters. A 3-year-old shot to death while sitting in a car. 2 young girls seriously wounded. This 15-year-old shot in the foot believes he was mistaken for a gang member.
And a boy just started shooting over me. And I'm lucky.
Michael's mother saw the potential in her son early in life. So in order to keep him out of the streets, she would often tell her son to spend the night at the apartment of his high school basketball coach, Wolf Nelson. Michael's love of basketball started at Farragut Career Academy, where he shared the court with NBA star Kevin Garnett. And according to his former coach, the class Michael graduated with was one of the best in Illinois history, including them having 4 McDonald's All-Americans, thanks to Michael, who was just that good. After high school, Michael played college basketball at the University of Arizona, where he starred for the Wildcats from 1998 to 2001, leading them to the NCAA championship game his final season. While in college, Michael's more intimate personal details, including his sexuality, were not well known. Only his closest friends knew he was gay, but others, even if they hadn't heard the rumors, never pried into his personal life. His reserved nature simply led some of his college teammates to believe he was homesick. But one man, one predator, saw Michael for who he was. During Michael's freshman year at Arizona, he met 41-year-old Mark Holdbrooks, who had first introduced himself to a then 17-year-old Michael. According to Michael's friends, Mark presented himself as a corporate lawyer from an impressive family who owned multiple brownstones in Harlem. To others, Mark said he was a financial advisor. Either way, he offered to mentor Michael, professionally and personally, as Michael didn't have much of a male role model in his life, and he chose to never discuss what happened between his mother and his biological father, even with those close to him. Mark began his relationship with Michael while under the shadow of some sordid details about his past. Prior to meeting Michael, Mark was accused of pilfering about $250,000 in tuition fees and capital improvement funds from his local church. He was also convicted on 2 counts of grand larceny in 1995 and sentenced to 2 to 6 years in prison, having been released on parole in the fall of 1998, the same year of Michael's freshman college year. In 2001, Michael was drafted as the 39th pick in the NBA draft by the New York Knicks, but for whatever reason, he, along with 8 other players selected in the draft, never played in a single NBA game. After not joining the Knicks or any other NBA team, he soon moved overseas and played for teams in Israel, Poland, Turkey, France, and Germany. Michael's overseas stint wasn't always rosy. Despite how well he played, there were always rumors about his sexuality. But for Michael, basketball, his job, his passion, was all that mattered. But still, the whispers and the looks he received from fellow players could be hurtful to him at times. In 2006, he was named an All-Star while playing for Besiktas. That same year, he was also voted the Import Player of the Year in Turkey's Basketball Super League. Following that All-Star game, most of his teammates on the international team refused to shower with Michael. He was one of the league's top players, yet people still did not feel comfortable being naked around him. Much of Michael's career was spent in Turkey, where he played for 5 teams over a 7-year span. However, it was only when he became naturalized as a Turkish citizen in 2010 and adopted the name Ali Karadeniz, which translates to "out of the Black Sea," that his star power skyrocketed. Since Turkish teams had to have at least 2 citizens on the court at all times, adding Michael with his dual citizenship was a gold mine for the team. And as a result, he became one of the highest paid Americans in any international league. Back in the States, his overseas success led Michael to move to Gloucester, New Jersey, a borough in Bergen County, located in the northeastern part of the state, close to New York City and the Hudson River, known for its historic homes, good schools, and suburban feel, where the average home cost a little more than $1 million. But Michael hadn't moved to New Jersey alone. He brought Mark and his daughter Felicity, along with Michael's own daughter, as Mark and Michael had already been living together in Chicago, raising their daughters together, with Mark having been the legal guardian of Michael's daughter and vice versa. Life seemed to be good until around 2014, when Mark told Michael that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer, something he had battled with before. Mark's first brush with cancer was in the early 2000s, but it into remission. But now the cancer was back, and out of love and loyalty, Michael knew he needed to be close to home rather than overseas so he could take care of Mark. But part of taking care of him would require significant financial backing. The treatments were bound to be expensive, and Michael felt his assets were required, which included him going back overseas. However, at this point in his life, Michael was torn by the love for his daughter. It became more difficult for Michael to leave each season, as she had become the driving force of his desire to wind down his basketball career and spend more time with her. According to his close friend Mark Barrett, he would cry whenever he had to go to the airport. Barrett also stated that Michael did not want to have the same living arrangements after he retired. Once Mark beat cancer, Michael thought it would be time to be in his own house and regain full autonomy of his finances. He made it known to Barrett that he had planned to purchase a new home for only he and his daughter. This was something he hadn't told his partner Mark yet. Stints in France and Iran in early 2015 didn't fare so well, but Michael believed he could keep playing at age 35. All he wanted was to help out as a reserve player, collect some end-of-career money, and alleviate the costs of Mark's cancer treatments. Michael had already thought about what he would do post-retirement. He considered a job in healthcare, possibly nursing. He even began taking online classes and planned to enroll in graduate courses at a nearby college. He thought about whether he wanted to leverage his background and become a trainer or physical therapist. Michael even debated opening a basketball camp for local kids, using the proceeds to fund the costs of pursuing his healthcare path. Though he was excited about all of these possibilities, he was also nervous about his post-retirement life, a life that he didn't know would soon be cut short. Mark reported Michael missing, telling authorities he hadn't seen Michael in 3 days, after he failed to pick up their daughters from the library days prior. New Jersey police entered Michael's information, including details about his white Lexus SUV, into a nationwide missing person database. On Tuesday, November 10, 2015, around 11 a.m., the 35-year-old basketball player was found dead in Brooklyn, sprawled out in the back of his Lexus SUV, his favorite car he had nicknamed Lucy Pearl.
Wildcat Nation mourning the loss of one of their greatest. Former Wildcat Michael Wright was found dead in his car in Brooklyn, New York. Police say he had a head injury. An autopsy is now set.
His body was covered in black garbage bags. His phone had also been on him, and when police opened his phone, the first thing they noticed was that the dating app GRINDR had been left open. Police immediately began investigating his death as a homicide, leaving his grieving family in disbelief, as who would want to murder someone who had a reputation of being a gentle giant? Michael's cousin Randolph Berry stated, "We are in disbelief. They're telling us it's foul play. His mom is on her way to New York now. He's a gentle giant. He was a good person." When asked if he knew anything about Michael being gay, he stated, "We don't know anything about his personal life. All we know is that he did damage overseas. When he played ball, he destroyed everyone in front of him." Detectives began investigating the possibility that he was killed by someone he met on GRINDR, as according to his partner Mark, Michael would often use the app to hook up with men, but others close to Michael pointed the finger at someone else. According to close friends, Michael had become suspicious of Mark. His friend Mark Barrett told authorities he thought someone was trying to deliberately harm him by drugging him whenever he went out. In July 2015, a few months before his murder, Michael had been in a car accident where he was arrested and charged with a DWI. He fought the charges, and after posting bail, the 6'8" power forward told friends that he had only had half a drink and couldn't explain what had happened to him. Another time, Michael came home and collapsed inexplicably in the living room. He told friends that he couldn't understand what was happening and continued to believe that someone was slipping a drug into his drinks. Michael didn't even want to go out anymore. But when police interviewed Mark, he attributed the DWI accident to Michael mistakenly taking the wrong medication. He stated that Michael was in the midst of a midlife crisis, and without the structure that basketball provided, he began to self-destruct. He was going out too much, drinking too much, meeting strangers he met online, and disappearing on benders for days. Police asked Mark why he waited until Sunday, 4 days after Michael went missing, to call police. He claimed that Michael had a routine of leaving on Thursdays and returning in the morning on Sundays. He would take a nap and then go to church with the family. I didn't want to know how Michael was spending his time, and he didn't want to tell me. The girls weren't surprised when he was gone because they understood that this was his usual pattern, but this time it was too much. By Sunday night, Michael's daughter had asked me, "Where is Daddy?" And I couldn't answer her. Michael's close friends, who never liked Mark, believed he had something to do with the legend's demise. One friend stated, "I never observed Michael going out regularly. Leaving on Thursday and coming back Sunday is totally out of left field." As police continued their investigation, they searched Michael and Mark's home, focusing on the basement and garage. They sprayed areas with luminol and discovered blood spatter. This led to the conclusion that Michael had been murdered inside the home and then later dumped in Brooklyn. And with the discovery of blood spatter, Mark had some serious explaining to do, which led to his confession a year after Michael's murder.
Good evening. We start tonight with breaking news. Prosecutors in New Jersey have charged 2 men in the killing of former Arizona basketball player Michael Wright.
Mark, along with an accomplice named David Victor, drugged Michael with a drug similar to Rohypnol, the date grape drug, on the afternoon of November 5th, 2015, in the couple's home. Once subdued, Michael's head was then bludgeoned with an axe, which fractured his skull. Mark and Victor then loaded Michael into his favorite car, before Victor then drove the body over the George Washington Bridge and an additional 20-plus miles into Brooklyn. They were charged with murder, possession of GHB, desecration of human remains, among other counts. It is still unclear how Mark and David met, and any reports on their sentencing are nowhere to be found. After Mark's arrest in 2016, their daughters, who were pre-teens at the time, began living with their godmother in New York, according to a person close to the family. One thing Mark couldn't destroy was Michael's legacy. He had made it out of one of the toughest neighborhoods in Chicago, transcending to the highest paid international athlete of any league at that time. Till this day, he is remembered not only for what he did on the court, but also for being an amazing person off the court, who did so much for so many people. And unfortunately, it was his kind heart that led to his demise.
A tragic end for a guy who I think you'd agree was probably one of our all-time favorite guys.
You couldn't get 2 words out of Michael Wright, but he was a class act, wasn't he?
He was.
Just a heck of a guy. You know, he averaged 15 points a game over 3 years, started every game here, and was just, I thought, underappreciated.
Completely underappreciated.
If you had a guy like him right now, he would take you. Of course, he took him somewhere then. But he would really take you somewhere now.
Sure. This was the game that we used to play sitting around and watching basketball when I was in college, which is if the 2002 team had Michael Wright, they wouldn't have won a national championship.
Yeah.
Instead, he left school a year early, was actually drafted in the 2nd round by the New York Knicks, did not make the team out of college, went overseas and was a very, very successful player in Turkey and Poland, a bunch of other places. I mean, he had won already. He made a lot of money doing what he loved to do.
Yeah, and you know, he was such a remote kind of a character that people didn't get to know him. Even the coaches really didn't get to know him. Jim Rosborough was telling me this morning that basically I recruited him from start to finish. I had his parents out here when he was a junior, his mom out here when he was a junior. He said, I really didn't get to know Michael Wright. He was just so quiet.
Wow. You know, some of that must have been from his surroundings. You know, he grew up on the south side of Chicago, went to Farragut Academy, the same school that produced Kevin Garnett. I mean, you were telling me a story off camera that at some point he was shot at. when he was in high school.
And it hit his friend in the heel, the bullet did, just coming out of the gymnasium one day. Jim Rosborough told me when they recruited him, the in-home visit with loot, that they didn't go to his mom's house because it was a risky area. So they went to the high school coach's house. And he would never talk about that when he was here. We had more access to talk to players then. He just didn't open up. That's the kind of guy he was. You know, I looked it up today. In his career here, they played against 26 teams that were in the top 20, and they won 17 of those games. He was always in the middle of big-time stuff.
To me, when I think of Michael Wright in life and in death, I think of his matchup with Mark Madsen at Stanford. Madsen had a couple inches on him. Madsen had a reputation, at least among Arizona fans, for being, shall we say, a little dirty.
No, he's a Mormon kid.
He's a coach now.
Yeah.
He's teaching people to be dirty.
Yeah.
He was a guy who seemed to always win those battles. Nobody was tougher than Michael Wright. And when Madsen, tried to engage him and tried to get into him, I mean, that was a showdown for the ages, I always thought.
If I put down the top 10 moments of U of A basketball that I witnessed in person, he is in the top 3 on that. They beat #1 Stanford at Maples, 76-75, I think, when he made a layup between the Collins twins at the buzzer.
Right.
The Collins twins, they're 7 feet.
7 feet tall.
Michael Wright was probably close to 6'6", but he was just a warrior.
One of the things that, we were talking about this off camera too, Michael Wright was listed 6'8", 6'7".
Yeah.
He was 6'6". Yeah. I'm 6'3". He wasn't that much taller than me. He was a legitimate power forward in an era where everybody had 6'8", 6'9" power forwards. I mean, Stanford had, Tim Young at center at 7 feet, the Collins twins, all these guys.
Curtis Borchert.
Curtis Borchert. This is a guy who played, I mean, like he was 3 or 4 inches taller than he really was, and he was just going to out-tough you and out-hustle you. I mean, he was Rodman-esque, I thought, in his ability to get the ball, to rebound, and to finish inside of 5 feet.
He would draw so many fouls. I should have looked it up, but he's probably in per game free throw attempts, probably first or second in school history. He was just not unafraid.
Sure. I remember too, is he would go up, initiate contact, get whistled, and then left-handed. Yeah. He'd kind of do, on his way back down, kind of do that. And it always seemed to go in. He was, I thought, a unique player, a special player. And a guy who in today's era of college basketball, Arizona would not recruit a 6'7" power forward. Arizona might not recruit a 6'7" 3.
Right.
It just shows how times have changed.
If you ask me my one memory of him, it's a different one. He got a 10-second violation call shooting a foul shot at Pauley Pavilion one day. He just didn't get phased. He's sitting there dribbling, and the ref's counting. I've never seen that called ever, except that day, and it was one of those tight finishes at Pauley, and he's just dribbling. They called it. They still won a game.
To me, what's incredible too was, his freshman year, he got, remember, he stepped over the line in an NCAA tournament game against Oklahoma. For a lesser player and a lesser person, that could have been his defining moment as an Arizona player. We've seen players come through Arizona who are known for that one thing. Jamel Horn, other players like that. That could have been it for him. And yet he became, I think, one of the most underrated basketball players in U of A history.
And part of it was because he was there during a period of personalities like Jason Terry, Gilbert Arenas, Lauren Woods, Luke Walton. I mean, you almost didn't think of Michael Wright, but he was the rock.
Right. You didn't think of Michael Wright until he left.